Welcome. Thank you.
Uh, Uncle Jimmy, you have put me on the spot. If this is what it means to be an elder, then it's a very serious burden to carry. But thank you. Thank you. Please, I would just like to point us, and it's just a word of reflection, uh, to the book of Acts, chapter 15. I won't open my Bible, but give me space to just share some reflection thoughts. Um, through history, the Council of Nicene, from where we have the uh, Nicene Creed, came as a result of a Congress meeting. So, Congress meetings in the history of the church and even in the Bible have been some of those defining moments for the mission of the church and the direction of what the church should be focusing and doing. In Acts chapter 7, Acts chapter 6, rather, the brethren in the book of Acts got together and they reflected on things of common interest uh, because they also had to address some challenges. But it's some kind of a mini Congress took place during that time. And they resolved to engage in what I call division of labor, those that would care in serving tables and those that would proceed to preach the gospel. Ironically, even those who were selected to serve tables eventually, the deacons, as some would say, eventually took on the responsibility of preaching the gospel, combining it with the extra role of serving tables. So the point I'm trying to make is the fact that congresses have historical backings and congresses can become turning points. And I use the example of the Congress in Acts chapter 6, the Congress in Acts chapter 15, in biblical times, and also the significant gathering at Nicene during some of those times that the church reflected on a number of issues and to resolve direction. So for us as a fellowship, and frankly, the Lord has been very gracious to us as FCS ABU alumni. The Lord has blessed us. You know, my brothers and sisters, like our dear brother and leader Jimmy said, we're in a good place right now. Significant development for us to be able to now be able to employ some staff, even if it's part-time. It's a significant sign of progress. For us to be able to have intervention programs on some of our campuses is a significant development. I happen to be, and I say this with every sense of modesty and humility. I've spoken in virtually most of the major alumni fellowship groups across this country. And I can say from my interactions with them that ABU alumni, and I'm not trying to say let's be boastful about it, no, but that FCS ABU alumni, it's miles, miles, miles that others have a lot to learn from what God is doing through this alumni fellowship. So today's Congress for me, honestly, I see that God would use it as a time for us not just to deliberate on issues in the past, issues in the present, but that the Lord will inspire and guide us to come up with prophetic resolutions that would help this alumni fellowship to fulfill not only the charter that God has given us, but to fulfill God's prophetic mandate for our nation. But again, as we meet as Congress, may God inspire us to remember one another, how we can encourage each other in this journey as we pass on the baton. But before passing on the baton, we also trust God to help each of us here to reach the finish line triumphantly, like the Apostle Paul that said, I have run a good race, I have fought a good fight, and I'm in a good place to depart to glory. And I'm praying that the Lord will continue to bless us as we meet and to again, in a very special way, welcome each and every one of us into this meeting. Thank you for your sacrifices, which has been great, which has been commendable. And the Lord has more for us to do. Like the old man Caleb at 80, who said, I'm just as strong now as I was 40 years ago. And believe me, brothers and sisters, may God renew our strength and keep us going to the honor and glory of his name. So over to you, Professor Jimmy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. We bless the Lord for that timely word, and we just look to Him to help us through this meeting that is ahead of us. So again, I want to apologize for the logistical challenges that we had in setting this meeting up. Um, I'm still getting messages now. Some people who are still trying to get in, unfortunately. So let me once again explain what happened. And so we've always used a Zoom license, the same Zoom platform for the last 6 years. And that happens to be my own personal Zoom license or Zoom platform. I use it for my professional work, but I also make it available for our use. And then we thought that it's time for us, as we grow, and we have multiple needs. Sometimes different subgroups want to meet at different times, and they need a Zoom platform to organize their virtual meetings. That we should have one for the fellowship. And we were looking at how to do it. We have the funds. We have the Mercy and Generosity Trust Fund. We have sufficient funds to pay for it in naira. Um, um, but the Zoom platform requires a payment in US dollars, and usually via credit card. And so we looked at how we could do this, and then we decided that, all right, let's appeal to our brethren in the US. We actually have a US chapter, and within a day of my making that appeal on that chapter, three of our brethren stepped up to take cover the cost of our registration for the next 3 years. So, and we could have gotten more if we asked for more, but these things change. Technology changes very rapidly. So who knows? 3 years or 4 years from now, we may not be using Zoom again. We may be using something else. So we said, let's do 3 years, and when we get to the bridge of the next 3 years, we'll cross that bridge at that time. And so we got that in motion. And then this week, just maybe a day or two ago, the person who volunteered for the first year paid for it. And so, as I speak right now, we, the FCS alumni, ABU Global Alumni, we have our own Zoom platform. In addition to that, we employed an admin assistant last month, sorry, um, who effectively began working for us. I think last month. You know, um, and so part of her responsibility would be to manage this platform for us. Um, and so that's a significant development. So from now onwards, she would run the meetings, she would set up the thing, make the announcements, and you can see she's been very effective in reminding us about stuff. You know, and then she would also connect, live stream our meetings, connect it to the YouTube channel. She's very savvy technology wise, a lot more than those of us older guys who have been stumbling around these things, you know. And so, but the problem was that there was um, a switch. There was a switch, miscommunication rather. And so um, um, the switch from the old platform to this one midway. you know so some people have the information of the old platform, some people have this one of this one, and so it caused quite a bit of difficulty today, but we're working through it even now as we speak, and we have 32 people here now. I'm sure that there wouldn't be anybody on the other platform as at now, because I put somebody there to provide the information to them, to come here. Um, and so we. That said, I am pretty sure that there will be some people who will still, who would have given up because they tried once or twice and couldn't get in, and just gave up. So we apologize for that logistical problem. It would be seamless going forward, because now we have a paid staff whose responsibility it is to set up these meetings, to set out, and manage the logistic aspects of this. And I know that she's going to take her job very seriously. And so this is not going to repeat itself again. Um, um, it's not going to repeat itself again. Um, so let's go on now, to the task that is before us. So usually, what do we do in Congress? Congress is an opportunity to get feedback about what the year that has gone by. Um, to report also on the year that has gone by, um, um, and then to take some decisions about the next year or perhaps the coming years. So to make this Congress a little bit more efficient, we decided to convene a meeting of the leaders of the various subgroups and chapters and those that have been in leadership, for and helping us manage different aspects of the fellowship. Um, and we laid before them a number of concerns, a number of thoughts, and they gave us feedback. And that feedback is very valuable. And we want to, first of all, lay out before you, the, the summary of what came out of that leadership meeting that we had. And then I would announce some of the decisions that we took in response to that, in response to the feedback that we got. And then we would proceed with some open conversations and additional input from everybody. May I ask Barrister Caleb Yakubu, who is a member of the core leadership team, to summarize for us, give us the summary of that meeting that we had with the leaders the last time. I hope Caleb is here.
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Mhm. Are you back in Abuja now? I hope you're not no longer in Jalingo.
I'm in I'm in Abuja, sir.
Okay. So you have the floor.
Yeah. Hello.
We
Okay.
can hear
Thank you,
you.
sir. Good evening,
Mhm.
everyone, and I I welcome us all to this Congress. I was initially raising my hand to find out whether it was my network or your line was breaking for everybody because I could barely hear you when you were talking. So I raised mine to be sure everybody was hearing. So let me just go to a brief recap of the uh, meeting we had with elders on the 10th of May. On the 10th of May, the CLT did convene a meeting with leaders of the various subcommittees and councils of this great house so that we can deliberate and look on ways to further the work that God has committed into our hands. And the purpose of that meeting was to evaluate the effectiveness of the fellowship standing committees and to chart a way forward for greater impact and visibility. We from the core leadership noted that although the fellowship possesses several committees and structures, the collective impact of those committees has not yet reflected the potential and influence that this fellowship envisions to exert over the society, over Nigeria, and the body of Christ. Some of our existing committees include the House of Daniel, the LIRAC, Legal Representative and Advocacy Council. We have the Mercy and Generosity Trust Fund, which is a registered trustee here in Nigeria. We have the Medical Outreach Committee, the Missions, the Prayer Unit, and several others. We have Project Implementation and Monitoring Committee also, which emanated from our 5th Anniversary Planning Committee. And then a few more. Now, if you recall, when we met January this year, part of the prophetic word we received from Chief Servant Abu Bakr has to do with the influence this fellowship was meant to exert. And the prophecy was not giving the fellowship direction, rather, it confirmed the vision that the leadership of the fellowship was already discussing at the core leadership level. So, because it's one of the tests of genuineness of a prophetic word. When a prophetic word is given in the New Testament, it should confirm what you have personally received and not to give you a new direction. And we are confirming that the words that the servant of God gave us January concerning us influencing the nation and the church is something we had already discussed. We even have some documents to that effect at the core leadership level. So we needed to bring it to the house that, look, this influence is something God has laid in our hearts, but we need all these units to be functioning effectively for us to exert this influence at the respective level. But during the meeting we held on the 10th of May, There was a broad agreement that many of the committees have not functioned as expected, and many of the committees are currently inactive or ineffective, despite having clear terms of reference. The challenges identified include low membership participation, lack of clear operational focus, inactive committee leadership, poor responsiveness among members, absence of structured accountability mechanisms, and difficulty in sustaining momentum after initial enthusiasm. For example, the House of Daniel received significant attention and review during the meeting because it was supposed to be our focal point of influence. They are supposed to issue position papers on national issues, conduct policy analysis, organize press briefings on our behalf, release public statements on issues affecting Christians and the nation, and serve as a moral and intellectual voice within the society. But there is an apparent silence within the body of Christ. It's like we are tired of responding to the numerous killings. No more press statement from Cannes or any of those places. And we are hoping we will step up and feeling that there is that gap that needs to be filled. So we are looking forward to stepping up. And then these are the recommendations that were made during that meeting on the 10th of May. Number one, committees need clear operational mandates. Every committee should have clearly defined objectives, specific deliverables, measurable outputs, and timeline for execution. The second recommendation was that committee leadership should be volunteer-driven. In other words, there was a recurring suggestion almost by everyone who spoke that members of this fellowship, you and I, should volunteer for areas where we have passion for. And then when we all volunteer, for example, to be all the people who volunteer to be members of the House of Daniel will then meet to elect their leaders. These people have volunteered, which means they are willing to work. So among the willing, a leader will be selected. And then committees, leadership should emerge from demonstrated commitment and interest. This view expressed was that volunteers are generally more effective than individuals appointed into roles they may not have time or passion to fulfill. The third recommendation is to integrate committees into monthly fellowship activities. For example, it was suggested that monthly fellowship meetings should periodically focus on specific committees. A month can be dedicated to missions, another month medical outreach, another month for the House of Daniel, another month when we are having a prayer focus, the intercessory committee should be allowed to anchor it. Those issues were raised during that meeting. And then the fourth recommendation was to reevaluate membership composition, which still boiled down to what we had said earlier. Individuals should be allowed to join committees aligned with their gifts and interests. Committees should actively recruit committed participants, and leadership should periodically review ineffective structures. So, and then, so basically, those were the recommendations we received during that meeting concerning the committees of this fellowship. When Prof comes on, he will communicate the reasoning of the CLT vis-a-vis the recommendation. Another item that we discussed during the meeting has to do with expansion into a global fellowship. Many of you in this platform will recall that this platform initially started as 1980 to 1990 class. But when we were mobilizing for our 25th anniversary, that structure collapsed. What we have now is FCS Global Alumni of all generations. The wall of 1980 to 1990 has been pulled down. People from generations immemorial, like Professor Duro Adeboye, who was there from the inception, 1960 something, to those who are just graduating this year from the ABU, can all be part of this body. And we are trusting that all other FCS alumni bodies, pockets scattered here and there, will all collapse into this one structure for greater effectiveness. So, membership now includes all FCS ABU alumni from inception, recent graduates, FCS members who attend ABU at any point, whether they came for remedial program or they came for diploma program, at whatever point, if you had been part of FCS ABU, you are a member across the world. We seek to embrace the remnant wherever they are globally. And then to this effect, we also propose constitutional reforms. The fellowship presently operates on a charter that states broad vision, that casted visions broadly of what we intend to achieve over the years. But with the issue of having a global fellowship that has national chapters, and then within the nation, we have state and city chapters, we needed to structure the fellowship to have a constitution that orders the governance of the fellowship. So the core leadership team has a sketch of a draft constitution that will be fully developed with the input of all of us, and then to be finalized by the Legal Representative Council. We are looking at the highest level of this fellowship will be the Global Council, which is currently meeting in this Congress. So this Congress is going to be the highest decision and policy-making body, followed by the Board of Trustees or the core leadership team. So when this constitution is adopted, the current core leadership team that is driving the fellowship will become the Board of Trustees. And then after we have the Board of Trustees, we will then have an executive committee that will be headed by a president and all the other offices that he requires to function as defined by the draft constitution. And then we'll also have national councils at national level who will have the power to register under relevant laws in their country so that they can function. I know that the global headquarters will be in Nigeria, and the core leadership team, which will be the Board of Trustees, will inevitably be the incorporated trustee of the fellowship in Nigeria. But in other nations, the fellowship can also register under this constitution, and they will be structured accordingly. We will also have city chapters and state chapters, and where necessary, our brethren from Samaru campus can meet separately and Congo campus for greater cohesion of those things. But we're going to be under one umbrella of ABU FCS Global Alumni, so that we will pursue one objective for the progress of the body of Christ in the nation. So the objective of this new structure is to improve coordination, facilitate growth, strengthen representation, enhance operational efficiency, accommodate international chapters, and prepare the fellowship for legal registration and expansion globally. And then, some recommendations were made during that meeting in furtherance of this, which will be considered at the level of developing the constitution, and Prof will speak more on that. I think those are the key issues I need to highlight. I don't know if I've left any other one.
Okay. Thank you, Rakeleb. That's a lot that Rakeleb has gone through now. But we're going to take them one step at a time. All right. let me um, begin with the what he ended with, which is the Constitution. Um, Developing a so we have a charter which we have adopted. A charter is basically a vision casting document that says this is who we are, this is what we have been called to do, and this is how we're going to do it. Um, but the Constitution, on the other hand, breaks that vision down into the implementation steps that you need, the vehicles that you need to be able to deliver on that mandate. And it also vests certain rights and authorities within certain segments of the fellowship. So that constitution is what we need to what we started work on now. So there is a draft that is ready. We are going to put that draft on a Google platform, which that will begin an open comment period. Okay, that constitution will not be. We're not going to rush anything at all. That constitution will be adopted in the Congress of our seventh year of for next year, in 2027. That will be our seventh year of operation as well. But we're going to start now. We're going to open a comment period of several months where, and we'll remind the fellowship members to please review, make comments, on that document. And then eventually, we will pull that, we'll take all of the comments that have come through and pass that on to the Legal and Legal Representation and Advocacy Council to integrate and assimilate as much of those comments as they can. And then they will provide a final document that will come to us for ratification. The CLT will look at it very carefully, and then the CLT will present what we are comfortable with to this council for ratification and adoption in 2027. So that's the process that's going to take. Okay. Um, so that is clear. Okay. As in terms of the steps where we would like to pursue in doing that. We have an AA now, an admin assistant who can facilitate the technology aspects of all these things, create to make sure that um, we're able to actually implement this. Now, the substantive issue before us, though, is the issue of our subgroups and how we strengthen those subgroups, how we um, um, get to a point where the councils and the subgroups are doing what they have been mandated to do. Okay. Um, so when many of these groups are already they're listed or named in our charter. Our charter actually provides the space or the recognition that we need these different councils or subgroups. But it's also open for us to create additional committees or subgroups as may be needed from time to time. So we we we've gotten to a point now where the advice that we got from our leaders in that May meeting that we had in May, we've taken that advice very seriously, and we want to go through a 6 months period between now and December, where we would do two. Hello. we will do two things. Am I being heard properly? Can I have an acknowledgement that I'm being heard well?
Yes, very clear.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Thank you very much. We
Yes.
want to, thank you, thank you. We'll go through um, a period um, where we reboot. Those of you who, I don't know whether the computers reboot these days anymore, but when you want to refresh things, you reboot your computer. It shuts down, virtually almost shuts down, and then it starts up again, and then everything begins to hum and move properly. So this is a reset or a reboot period for us. This next six period, that's what the CLT has decided. And we're going to do two things. Um, the first is we're going to be very, very deliberate in um, pushing out the messaging and of recruiting um, membership to this fellowship. Okay, like we have said, we started from that group that was on campus between 1980 and 1990, and then but we in one I think 2 years ago or maybe even 3 years ago, this same council decided that our membership should be open to all generations, basically from the early 60s when the fellowship was founded to those who may have graduated last year. um, and we're beginning to see some of that happen. um, um, the lawyer who just spoke to us now, I think graduated maybe 7 or 8 or 9 years ago. I don't know, maybe even younger, maybe even more recent. Caleb, how long ago was it when you graduated?
I graduated 2019. Yeah, that's 7 years ago.
So 7 years ago, Caleb was the president on the Congo campus, you know, and she's a lawyer. But he's now in the core leadership team. We looked at him and we really felt that he had what we needed to be able to come into the leadership. And he's the first of several others that will come. So at the core leadership level, we are intentionally looking at how to bring more people into the core leadership from the younger generation. um and but we can't rush that either, but we can we consider the next, so this is our sixth year, the next 4 years, as a transition period as well, when by then the new structure would have been in place. Many of us that are now in the front end of this thing, leading this thing, would have retreated more into an advisory role. And there would have been structures in place that can take this fellowship into several generations and several decades in the future. So that's we're trying to be very, very careful and very intentional about putting structures in place so that ABU fellowship, um, alumni fellowship, can be on a very sound, strong footing to play its role. We're still a leading um, a fellowship in this country, in Nigeria. I remember when I was on campus and I was president of the ABU main campus fellowship. At that time, I don't know about now, because now there are all these churches who have now, there are a lot of splinter groups on campuses all across the country now. But when we were there on campus, our membership, we were the largest Christian fellowship campus in Nigeria, period. My own immediate two senior brothers were presidents of IVCU Ibadan, and their fellowship was not as big as ours. And IVCU was a major fellowship in Nigeria. So we had the largest. We're almost a thousand in ABU on our fellowship at that time. I'm talking of 1983, 1984, 1985. Okay. So God has placed us in a very enviable position. And our members, you can think about that's like 40 years ago now. You know, our members are all over. This is this country, all over the world, you know. So the potential in terms of our impact is massive. And I just pray that Lord would help us to enter into the fullness of that potential and exercise that place, stand in that place that God has placed us, you know. And so that's what these things would that's what this the steps we're going to be taking in the next few years. That's what they're going to lead to. So let me just focus on the next 6 months then. So we're going to be raising membership, but and then where we will offer opportunity, we'll use technology as well to give people the opportunity to self-select where they want to function. So we will advertise all of the groups, you know, they all have terms of reference. All of those exist now. We have terms of reference for all of our subgroups. We will make them available either on our website or on a through regular posting on WhatsApp. I don't know. We'll figure out the technology aspect of this. Um, um, we'll go through a period where we're making that information available so that members can review. You know, some of the groups require certain expertise, right? So you will not volunteer for the legal and representation and advocacy council, for instance, if you're not a lawyer, you know, because legal representation and advocacy requires legal training. So that subgroup is really for our lawyers, you know, and those who have training in the legal profession. There may be others who, you know, and then there is the health one too. The health one is very broadly defined, not just doctors, lawyer, you know, nurses, public health people, all of those in the health sector would be eligible to be on that. So the eligibility we're going to make clear as well. You know, the House of Daniel. The House of Daniel is our apex group, and so it's those who feel that they have become um, leaders in their chosen profession. So if you feel yourself that God has helped you and you have reached the leadership level in your area of influence, then you're eligible to be part of the House of Daniel, and you can self-select to volunteer for that. You know, so again, it's going to be very clear. So right now, what we did as CLT was we appointed people. We just looked at individuals, and then in some cases we didn't even consult them. We just asked if they were willing, and sometimes out of respect or out of just a willingness to serve the Lord, they said yes. But they have not been able to follow through on those commitments. So this time, as advised by our leaders, we want the membership to be voluntary. You know, if there are only 5 people who volunteer, for instance, for the House of Daniel, let's give that example, or for the legal group, those 5 volunteers, you can count on them. You can count on them to do what 20 people would do, um, because they're committed to and the what they volunteered for. So that's how we're going to do this now. Now we we're in effect, um, we're restructuring. We're restructuring. So if you are currently a member of any of those groups, you're welcome to when we put out the information where you can select what you want. You are welcome to um re-volunteer yourself. Let me put it that way, or volunteer yourself, since you are now currently appointed. Is to volunteer yourself for that position, and we encourage you to do that. We encourage. This is the house of God. This is God's garden that we're attending. It's not and it belongs to all of us. So we encourage you to do that. Then by December, our meeting in December, or even maybe it could be December or January, depending on how far things go. But one of those two, we're going to do it. It's going to be a dedication service. Probably it's going to be the January meeting, because December is usually our praise and Thanksgiving and testimony night. Let's not mess with December. Do that. But then we come back in January 2027, God willing. We're all alive. We're all healthy. We're all doing well. That first meeting in January 2027 will be a dedication service for the various committees that those who will have volunteered for those committees, and then they themselves will now select who would their leadership amongst themselves. Okay, so that's the goal now. Now, if you are currently in any of those committees, if you are functioning, you're welcome to keep functioning. You're welcome to keep meeting. You know, um, 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 we're not saying that you cannot, but we are in a restructuring mode. We're in a restructuring mode. We're in a restructuring mode. The only committee that we will not restructure is the Mercy and Generosity Trust Fund Board of Trustees. And we will not restructure it, for one, because it has been extremely effective. It has been our most effective sub elements, or sub unit of this fellowship. And I really, really, on behalf of the fellowship, on behalf of the CLT, want to thank every member of that board of trustees, and especially the leader, Zadon Leonard, Barrister Leonard Zadon. Extremely busy guy, does things at, national, you know, always in demand for all kinds of things in at the state level and national level, but still he has made room to give effective leadership to the Mercy and Generosity Trust Fund. And so then legally also, we cannot dissolve them, without going through a process, because they are actually registered. We actually registered the Mercy and Generosity Trust Fund with the federal government of Nigeria, with the board of trustees. I know we have increased. We lost one or two people from the board of trustees, and then we got some other people added to that. And I'm sure that if they haven't completed the process, they're doing it. They will do the process of informing the federal government that we now have additional members in the board of trustees. So that is the direction in which we're going with regards to that. We're stepping down the work of all of these trustees and committees, and we're restructuring them over the next several months. And by God's grace, 6 months from now, we would have a reorganized, re-energized set of committees, with new people, new infusion of new blood, new passion, to be able to take the work into the future. Okay. So those are the two most important things we wanted to bring to council to this today. I mean, to Congress today, this information and what we just shared about the process for the constitutional um, review. Nothing is set in stone yet about the Constitution. Brother Caleb just gave some highlights about what's in the draft. Read it. Read it. If you disagree with anything there, fine. Indicate it in during that open comment period. We will review all of it very carefully, and then, like I said, we'll go through a process that, by God's grace, would lead to us presenting the Constitution for ratification in 2027. And we cannot register us until we have a constitution. So our registration will be delayed. Registration of so the mother body, that is us, is FCS alumni, Global Alumni Fellowship. We're not registered with the federal government. Although our subunits, the fund, Mercy and Generosity Trust Fund, is registered. We had to do that quickly because we needed to be able to legally collect money, and deploy money and use money responsibly. And so our lawyers advised us to quickly go that route, and that was what we did. But the fellowship itself requires a constitution before we can register it. So once we get to past 2027 Congress, the then legal and the leaders of the then legal and representative thing will take us through the registration process to make sure that we're quickly registered, and then we'll go on from there. So let me pause here. There are a few other things that we can say, but they are not really Congress type stuff. These are the two major Congress type stuff. They're mainly announcements, and I will announce. I will, before we close the meeting. We would announce that. So mainly two things. One is about what we're doing to connect with other alumni groups, and we're in the process of doing that. And we're likely going to have some cross inter alumni meeting, either towards the end of this year or sometime next year. All the alumni groups, we're trying to we're trying to create a platform that allows us to be able to come together with one voice, um, um, as needed. Not as a organized body. Okay, it's just to collaborate, to fellowship together, and then to be able to also address national issues together. But that is a procedural thing that the CLT is handling. It involves a number of steps, and you would those who have been coming to our monthly meetings, you see. So you know the bringing in Brother Emeka Nwakwa, Brother Austin Ukachi was deliberate. It's part of that effort to move in that to begin to move in that direction, and we would let you know as that. So that's an announcement. Really, it's not really for discussion. And then so I don't forget. Um, we're happy to announce that we now have officially a virtual admin assistant. Um, she's Jemima Solomon Sanu. Um, she incidentally is the daughter of Brother Joshua Odeyemi, on whose on account of whose passing, you know, the burden to create and to start this fellowship actually started. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't deliberate to select her. We went through a very rigorous process, to select who to take on this task. But she came heads and shoulders above everybody else, and and we were happy to offer her the job. So it's a part-time position, 20 hours a week. It's a virtual support position, so she can still do run her. She's a graphic artist by this by a digital person, so she does a lot of this social media marketing type stuff um, professionally. In addition to her graphic, she's been designing it's our monthly brochure. She's been doing it for us basically since day one, for the last 5, 6 years, every month. So she's been part of us peripherally, you know. But this appointment now brings her into the center. So, Madam, you are Madam because you're married and you have 2 children. Even though you're our daughter, if you're hearing me, and I'm sure you're hearing me, can you put on your video and so that folks can see you, and then say a few words to the house. Sister Jamima.
Good good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. I believe we are in different times. I'm Jemima. I want to say thank you to the leaders for selecting me to, I know I've been in the system, so I know what it is, and I'm glad to be serving as the virtual assistant for FCS Alumni, and I trust God to help me and give me wisdom on how we can mobilize, more alumnus to this organization. Thank you.
Bless you. Bless you. Um, okay, so now we're open to open comment period. Please ask questions. Ask Jemima will post her contact information. She's available to support our leaders in whatever capacity that you need her to support you. Um, Although most of our efforts in the next 6 months or so will be focused on um this the the what's the word that I used earlier on, the restructuring.
Review and restructure.
Yes,
Yeah.
the restructuring that we're doing. But while doing that, she's also going to be positioning us digitally appropriately. She has already created a YouTube channel for us. She will develop a website. We don't have a website. Can you believe we don't have a website? It's first thing that we should have done 6 years ago, but you know we just didn't, so we don't, so she's going to do that, create maybe a Facebook page for us, whatever it is. She would have free reign to lead us actually into this new digital world, and position us appropriately in that space. So she's going to be busy working on all of this, but once the committees are fully set. So if you want to do a meeting, you send her a note. She will have a calendar, and she will be able to join in your meetings. Set up the Zoom platform for you to do your meetings. All of that is the kind of support that she will be able to provide to us in the months and years to come by God's very special grace. Okay. So that has also dispensed with the announcements that I have today. So the rest of our time, which is about 30 minutes, is open commentary and comments about what we have presented today, and then we will come back in to sort of wrap up the meeting. So at this point, we will just take comments and reactions. There are 35 people here. Unfortunately, I'm using my phone today. So, Jamima, you would have to help me. If people raise up your hand, your digital hands, if you can, you know how to do that. Because I can't see everybody on this phone. I just arrived in Abidjan late last night, so I'm not properly set up here yet. Um, So there's no Wi-Fi where I am. So so Jamima, please help me in doing that. So let's do that. If anybody just like they call the person's name and then the person can speak.
Dr. Dotun Fadipe's hand was just up now.
Doctor who?
Dotun Fadipe, his hand was just up.
Dr. Fadipe, please, you have the floor.
Okay, good evening, sir. Just to say a little word of encouragement. For me, I've been a part of FCS alumni for a very long time. But I think what the global alumni for FCS is doing is actually heartwarming. Painfully enough, I couldn't attend the meeting in Abuja the last time due to work schedule, but I was part of the preparation. I was part of the committees. And hearing what we are trying to do tonight actually interests me. I was privileged to serve in FCS as Assistant General Secretary, and our duty as Assistant General Secretary is to mobilize the alumni. So I remember making a vow to FCS that if I ever forget FCS, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my tongue, my mouth, like David said. So I just want to say, well done, sir, for this effort, and be sure that we are going in the right direction, and I'm sure we'll get a proper alignment as we go on. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Bless you, sir. Can you tell us who you are again? I know I've seen. You are the vet doctor in Abuja. Is that correct?
Exactly, the vet doctor in Abuja, sir.
Okay, and you are also the leader of the Abuja chapter. Is that correct?
No, part of the leadership.
Okay, all right.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So assimilating the existing. There's no need to duplicate any. They say no, don't reinvent the wheel, right? That's what they
Yeah,
say. We will not.
yeah.
We don't. There's no time. There's no time to dissipate on unnecessary stuff. So if there is a functioning, for instance, there's a functioning national FCS alumni chapter, that's been there long even before we came on board. And so that continues to be the national FCS alumni. Um, uh, 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 you know, um, the same thing with the where we have existing chapters in cities in Nigeria. That's fine. We just and that's one of the reasons why we use the word global to identify ourselves so that we can serve as an umbrella, umbrella sort of organization for our existing entities, to give focus, to give drive, and to increase the potential impact of our collective effort. So bless you, my brother. Thank you so very much. Any other comment?
Yeah, so my hand is up, even though I shouldn't self-nominate my hand by voice.
Why not? Go ahead, sir.
So hearing, taking a cue from what you have just said, for me then makes it probably a lot easier, though can be complex at the same time. One is that if there is an existing FCIS national body, can we find out what the dimension is in terms of size? That body, does it have what we are now even thinking about? Does it constitute people from various generations? I mean, if there exists something that can be expanded to get us to where we are going, then why don't we subsume ourselves there, right? And then sell the vision itself and allow that vision to assimilate and grow, because truths after 3 days will surely rise. So that then means that some kind of humility that will eventually take us to where we really want to be, because they are bigger and we are smaller, except indeed if that body is not as holistic as it ought to be, if it is a national body. So that way, we can show the example. So something happened, that I've been thinking about since yesterday. The burial of a dear brother somewhere in Ovim. And I believe the chaplain, see the chaplain now of the University of Just Chapel, yeah, a venerable prof, was there. And we went into a room where we were supposed to be eating. I actually met them there. Some other church leaders were there. And he was there before me. I sat down. So they brought food for him. And when they brought food for him, he looked at me and said, "No, you can have it." And I was protesting, but he was insisting, and actually placed the food on my lap. The next thing I saw him do was that bottles and cans that have been utilized around there, he started packing them. That for me was, he didn't need to do that, right? But he just demonstrated humility in some ways that are really, really touching. And what came to my mind again, I said, here we go. This is that knot where I gave my life to Christ, that kind of a thing. So what I'm saying, in effect, is this. If we know there exists something, all right, we can be the ones really that can go in there, provide this entire picture, which I believe will eventually be accepted. One thing is the contestation around leadership, holdership can be a challenge. When people feel that, what am I losing to gain worth? But I believe that we are all bigger than that by the grace of God, right? So it is about, where do we get that structure, if it does exist? And if ours is the one, why not? Then we go in this dimension. I just thought I could put that on the table. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Oseahon. We've started that engagement, by the way. We, this core leadership team, met with the exco. They actually have an exco with a president, a president, I think a vice president, treasurer. They have like 4 or 5 people who are members of the leadership of that FCS. But it's mostly um, Samaru people,
Okay.
mostly Samaru campus people. And the Congo people also have their own, another one. I don't know, I don't think the Congo one is as organized as the Samaru one, but they do have one as well. Um, but they don't like we from day one. We've been having these monthly meetings. We've never missed this monthly. They don't have a you know they don't meet. They don't have a regular meeting structure like this. That's one. And certainly they don't have a view or a vision that encompasses other alumni outside of the country, for instance. I mean, my home is still the US. I've lived there for 32 years now, even though I'm back on the continent now. But my home family is still in the US. And I just mentioned today now that there was something we needed, and our members, 3 of our members in the US, within 24 hours stepped in to provide us and cover us for that. What even if you had 1,000 people here in Nigeria may not be able to do, because your credit card here that your bank issues you in Nigeria will probably not be accepted by Zoom. Just because you are here in Nigeria. you know. And so a great point you have made, and I think that that is the exact direction in which we are going to go. We again, we will not reinvent wheels for the sake of reinventing wheels. We'll figure out how to integrate and how to so this next year is going to be that process.
All right.
We're going to go through that process. All right. Who? Any more comments, please?
Sorry, this is Mabel.
Yes. Can you introduce yourself properly before you speak? Tell us who you are, where you are talking from, and perhaps the year you graduated, just so
Yes, sir.
everybody knows.
Okay.
The
My name
hand
is
we are
Mabel Olufelo,
seeing,
and I live in the US, in Georgia. I graduated from ABU Samaru in 1991 and served at Ilori. So I am so excited to hear about this. I know I've attended a couple of the meetings, and somehow I missed the big conference that was held in Nigeria last year because I was in another country, because I am an event planner and also I do tours and like a travel agent. So why I'm excited is because some other groups like the Nsoka, the Lion and Lioness or something, the Great Ife people and stuff, they all have big organizations, and they have the local and the, like the Nigeria, the national and the international match together, and they do things together, even the secondary school. And I've been waiting to hear that we are doing this. So, but going back to the matter that we are talking about like combining the one in Nigeria with the one in the US, I think that would be a very good thing if we can amalgamate all of them. But the thing though is that, are they registered? Because I just heard that we are not yet registered. We don't have constitution, because constitution is the main thing. That's, even though we have the charter, but we have to have guidelines to the charter and stuff like that. So yes, what the last speaker said is a very good contribution. My own will be to reach out to that committee or that group and see how we can all come together and make it a bigger, stronger organization. Just like some of the other alumni that have done stuff or that I see that operates, not just CKC. Is this CKC they call them? Their own is even bigger. That one is even college, college. They travel all over the world and they do events everywhere. They come together to help each other. So I don't want to belabor this, but if we can get to the people who are involved, Samaru and Congo, join them together and join the international with that, we will have stronger organization.
Thank you,
Sorry,
my
that's
sister.
my contribution.
Great contribution. Who's next?
Prof. Michael Idachaba.
Uncle Mike, thank you so much. I am so sorry I couldn't interrupt but I asked someone to help you get in. I'm so glad you were able to get in.
Florence eventually was able to help me. So
praise the Lord. Go ahead,
So,
sir. Go ahead.
all right. So I'm sorry because of trying to get in here, had difficulty. So I missed quite a lot of the earlier portion of it. But I have to one is a question, the other one is a contribution. So the other body that is you say is in existence in Nigeria, that's localized to Nigeria. What generations of ABU alumni do they cover? Do they cover every generation of ABU alumni? I know we started off from 80 to 90, but it would be nice to know and how active is that particular organization right now. before we talk about the issue of the measure. So I would need to be educated more on what they are doing and what their own vision actually is. And then secondly, the other question, again, is still a question, is on the chapter side. I know I've discussed this with you previously. What exactly is the plan to make the chapters to be functional? Are they going to be given specific assignment because of the strength of the national organization? We meet every single month. What things are the chapters supposed to be doing to make them much more relevant and much more functional? I mean, if those things are clearly defined, I think it will definitely help in terms of strengthening the different local chapters. Yeah.
Okay, let me take the second one is the easier one, which is part of what this restructuring is going to help us to do. Okay, that we're going into now, this process. So over the next 6 months, we will be able to offer exactly what you're asking now in terms of, okay, so if you are going to be a chapter, um, this is what you would how to do it, and
Yeah.
this is what you would do. And here is, because we do have some effective chapters right now. The Abuja chapter, for instance, is effective. They are very effective. In fact, and there are many of us, our members, who, so we can learn from them. We would take some of their, their guidance from them in terms of what they're doing, and then we will offer it to other chapters to say, here, this is a template which you can then modify to suit your own particular conditions. So what they do in Abuja may be very different from what we do in the US. I mean, the US chapter, we can do whatever we want. We can go on a cruise, for instance. We're able to do things that maybe other chapters may not be able to do. And so, but we need to be flexible there. But what we don't want to be is, we will not be a church, and we don't want to even replace your whatever local fellowship you are attending to. This has to be adding some value that is unique, and that adds to us beyond what we're already involved in. So that's the mandate. I think we'll deal with that. Now, is there anybody from the chapter? I know Fadikwe is. Maybe Fadikwe would respond, or is there somebody else who can speak to the question? What's the composition of this FCS group that is in Zaria? It's based mostly in Zaria. The base is Zaria, but there are members, I think, in across Nigeria. They have a WhatsApp group with over 200 members. So kind of like, in terms of size, they're about the same size as us. you know. Um, um, but most of them are within Nigeria, I think. Brafadikwe, can you speak to this, or can you ask somebody else who is to speak to this?
You should unmute, please, maybe if you are speaking.
It appears Dr. Fadipe is not on the call.
Or maybe he dropped off. Okay.
Yeah, but
Is there anybody else from that group here?
Yeah, I am a bit acquainted with them. I'm part of them in Abuja. I do join their meeting from time to time. And we are trying to also maintain and incorporate the entire fellowship. We used to meet at Bishop Ben Oruma's church, but I think recently we have moved to Asokoro, Foursquare Asokoro, where also the pastor there is a member. And we meet quarterly. I think one of the Sundays, quarterly, we meet quarterly. And we are trying to incorporate brethren from Congo also, but predominantly It's the same fellowship from Zaria that have a chapter in Abuja, and they are predominantly Samaru brethren. I remember when I was the FCS president, during missions, their national ESCOM met with us. We deliberated on the budget, and then they provided their support, which assisted both campuses. They were providing assistance to both Samaru and Congo campus when I was FCS president to help us carry out the mission activity. So I think that is the much I know. I experienced the assistance as FCS president on campus, and I have identified with them here in Abuja, but I'm not with them at leadership level. Abrobameyi Rikum is raising his hand. Maybe he can provide more context.
Okay.
His hand is up, actually.
Bame, go ahead, please. And introduce
All
yourself
right.
properly, too.
All right. Thank you. Good day, everyone. My name is Kum, and I had my first degree, biological science, 2017, and then pharmacy 2024. So literally, I've spent 10 to 11 years on campus. I remember when I came for my first degree, the FCS national body, that is the one covering the whole of Nigeria. That is the one you see in Samaru, where we have over, I think we are even more than 500. But at some point, WhatsApp was not able to carry everyone. So just few selected individuals were actually part of the larger group. So Congo has its own at some point, and like that here and there. And I remember in 2016 they came together to have a convention, an annual program they do like every year. But a time came that we had it only.
Have we lost him?
Oh, I was wondering whether it is him or my connection.
Yeah,
Are
that's
you
why.
back? Bame, are you back?
I think he
He's
has
gone.
completely dropped
He has
off.
completely gone off.
Okay, so Bame was also twice president of ABU campus. He was president for 2 consecutive years. So he's a very serious brother, and a leader in the house. But more recent graduate as well. So his perspective would have been very helpful. But all right, let's go on. Any other comment? Before we try to bring this meeting to a close. But
But the 2 brothers then will be very important to be able to give us a guide, because they are on that side and they also seem to identify with us. So they should be able to be in a better position to provide a guide in the forward in what they think should be the appropriate thing to do moving forward. But definitely having 2 different organizations serving the same purpose is not ideal. It's certainly not ideal.
Yeah.
we agree.
Bro,
We agree.
Bro Musa Chantu's hands are up.
Bramusa, please. You have the floor,
Tell
sir.
him to unmute.
Unmute yourself.
He's still muted.
Bro Chantu, your hands are up. Okay,
Yeah,
Bamei is also
Musa
back.
is supposed to be talking, but he's muted. We are not hearing him.
Bamei Rikum is back, sir.
Okay, can you finish your thought, Bame? Yeah.
All right, sorry for that interruption. It's network. So that 2016, the the group in Samaru, because of the number, they serve as the national body. At some point, we were operating not independent per se, but more or less Congo is on its own, and then Samaru was also on its own. But anytime we have a program whatsoever it is, they usually come together to assist. So but that program, that annual program they usually do is together, the both campuses. So they felt there's a need for them to come together to have like the national leaders, of which some of them serve for a very long time, for a very, very long time. So after that program in 2016, there was no any other program again. They kept giving reason because of the what's it called? The insecurity in the country and all of that. So when I became FCS, we came together to, who were the one that even brought these new ASCOs. I was part of the selection committee together with the chaplaincy that we brought these new leaders uh, into office as the national leaders. So these ones currently, like particularly the Samaru and few others from Congo that are also part. So together they serve as the national when it has to do with the country. They are the leaders overseeing everything. And when we had, I remember during mission, they also mobilize resources there and there to give us as for the both campuses to help us in the running of missions. So that has been the little I know as to this um, bodies are essential. But the Samaru, honestly, I think basically what they have been doing is in that, raising support for maybe members that have issues here and there, and then also for missions particularly. But as to having time to meet together, is only the leaders. Even when I was FCS president, I remember they came to also discuss with us and then hear what is the issue and how they can be of help to us. So so to me, I'm seeing that it's a very good thing if uh, we can have, just like the way we have this global body. If Zaria can be a chapter, that will also be a very good instead of seeing, because all the leaders, I think almost like 90% of them are from Samaru, and that is what Congo are announcing as if they are not part of it, because all the leaders are Samaru people, and we have the majority, so to say, like we are more than them, but it's not the case. So that has been the thing as regarding. So it's not a really a smooth one as to what I've observed over the years. So my suggestion would be, if we can have Zaria should have it, just like Abuja and all of those things, and then those leaders here and there, key persons as to the coordinator coordinating, let's say Zaria or Abuja, all of this can be part of the leadership at the global level, and that will give us a robust system to work together. Thank you, sir.
Okay. We have received, I think, we've heard you very clearly. And like I said, we've started the engagement. We have actually met. We met with the executive of that Zaria group. We, the CLT, met with them last year. And we promised to meet again, but then we got busy, trying to prepare for our fifth anniversary thing that we did, and so we didn't follow up with them. But we'll pick it up again, and by God's grace, there will have been some progress in the direction that you are all advising now. By the time we meet again as Congress next year. Um, okay, is there something that is totally different before we wind down this meeting?
Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Yes, and Sister
Mary.
Innocent.
Let's take Sister Mary and then we'll take Brother Innocent.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Yes, ma.
Well, just to say a brief about Congo chat group. Congo chat group was giving birth at the same time. This particular group was giving birth to. Hello, I hope I'm being heard.
Yes, we can hear you, ma.
Okay. And the reason was, when you remember that Brother Joshua, whose demise gave birth to this whole thing, was from Congo campus.
Correct.
So when this group came up, some members joined the group, And from what I gathered at that initial time, discovered that they were lost at the meeting most times. And of course, I experienced it when I came in. It's like after the meetings, all the greetings will be centered on calling names of familiar people, and the few of them were like lost because, of course, main campus members know themselves more than the Congo campus. So one of us decided to start a Congo group, a chat group, of course, following the pattern of 80 to 90. And so one person started it and we added up. I think on that chat group, we were over 100. But then we agreed that doing any other program will be parallel to what you are doing or we are doing in the main group. A few of them came into the main group, but some each time we send the link into it, a few of them we attend and feel that they have been left out. So the participation from Congo members, except those who are in the core leadership, like Bra Salvation, that I see that is active in the main group. And of course, he too does not bring out messages to the Congo group. So everybody is just there. We are here there for just the usual daily messages and all that. Nothing really happened. We don't meet. So just like the last speaker have said, the leadership should equally consider making whatever, well, it's good that we have said that it's going to be voluntary now. But then the Congo group is there, the chat group is there. But our reason was not to start having our own programs, but to fall in line with the main group. But I think most of them withdraw from being active in this meeting because they felt sometimes they come in and they are just not looking part of the meeting. But that chat group is still there. So if there is any message, we can take it down to the chat group. Thank you. Because the truth is that those who finish from Congo, we know ourselves better from the FCS compared to us brethren. But the aim is the same, and we have not formed any other thing to do. We have not met physically, but we know that when our members have occasions like they have wedding or children, they invite us. We meet there and we interact there, and that's all. And a few of us that were in the 5-year celebration last year, at least we met there. So that's how the Congo group is. It's not part of the Abuja main group because I think that is equally consisting main campus people, basically. Thank you.
Okay, that's an excellent contribution there, and the Lord would help us and guide us on how to. Now, it's not that any of those things is intrinsically wrong. You know, generally, affinity, people gravitate towards what they know, right? But what this also tells us is that as a leadership, we need to be sensitive to how we make this platform welcoming, not just across campus, but also across generations. Okay, I am, where many of us are in our 60s now. I mean, how does pharmacist, yeah, Sunanka, Rikum Neko, how does Rikum come in and feel comfortable in our midst? You know, um, that means that we need to do things differently. That means that there will be meetings when none of us will speak. For instance, when we will be there, and folks like Caleb and Rico, they run the entire show. There'll be times when So I think maybe this is telling us some really important things that we need to take into consideration as we try to reposition this thing before we hand it over, because we are actively seeking to hand this over to the next generation.
Yeah,
We can't do this. I think God just brought us in to start this thing, and we have
yeah,
started it. You know,
yeah.
Brother Innocent, your beard is fearful, sir, but there's a lot of anointing there, so you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Professor Jimmy. I want to thank you and all members that are here. Going by the excitement generated by this platform, I want to suggest that if there is a way that your leadership will give instructions on however you are going to do it, so that we have branches in all the 36 state capitals and Abuja. If we have ABU, Alumni, FCS fellowship, if there is a way that the brethren in all the state capitals should come together and start that fellowship, I think it is going to strengthen. I have started here. That's just a suggestion. Leave it to how you will be led by the Holy Spirit to ensure that this comes to be implemented. Thank you.
Fantastic suggestion. We are at 9 o'clock now, so we need to end this meeting with 9 o'clock my time, which is 10 o'clock in Nigeria. So I want to yield this meeting back to is Brad Gideon still on the platform?
Please, before then,
quickly, please.
Yeah, I had sent you a private message. Maybe you will look at it. And also, our sister was talking about a group from Congo. There's actually another Congo group that we mobilized when I was FCS president as of 2024, 2025, just before we discovered this global platform. In fact, that group was registered with the CAC. We were in the process of opening bank accounts when we discovered this existing platform, and then meetings have slowed down. I think we are still trying to see how we get incorporated here. So there's another platform in Congo. I've added you to the WhatsApp group. That platform is actually registered with the CAC as FCS Alumni ABU Congo Campus. So I also needed to bring that so that it will be noted in this Congress. I started it when I was...
Where I belong is 80 to 90, and I don't think that is registered. So maybe what you are saying now is new to me. As I said, this FCS Alumni Congo Campus was giving birth to as soon as this platform was giving birth to, about the same time, because some of them felt we were not flowing along with the members here then. So I don't think it's what you are saying, but I'm just hearing about the Parallel Congo group right now.
Yeah.
I think this is noted.
I don't know. The leadership can discuss that.
Yeah, this is noted. This is noted. Is Gideon on? We need to end the meeting. Folks need to get some rest. Gideon, are you on the platform? Is Jacob here? Job rather, and Madhu.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, please end the meeting with a word of prayer for us.
So let us just appreciate everybody for coming and being around throughout this very, very inclusive discussion, very extensive. We thank you very much for the openness, and we can see that today has opened a lot more of the information that we need in order to forge ahead as a global network. So we pray that God will continue to guide us along, even as we go through this 6 months of, like Professor Jimmy said, we are trying to reboot. God will help us in Jesus' name. Please let us pray. Our Father, we thank you, we worship you for